And we are live. Welcome, everybody. It's the Positive Power Hour with my co host, Nicole. Say hi, Nicole.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Power Hour.
Yes, and you already know who I am, and that doesn't matter anyway, right? But we're glad you're all here. Whether you're watching us live or whether you're watching us on tape delay, the whole purpose of our broadcast is really to help everybody keep that focus in the direction you want to go, because it's so easy to get off track, right? And that's what our whole theme is going to be about today. And Nicole and I were talking before the broadcast that, it's like I have a friend that does a Facebook Live on marketing every week. And for those of you that might be interested in seeing it, let me see if I've got his banner somewhere here. Here it is. This is the guy that I've done a lot of work with in the marketing group, and he has a Facebook Live he does every Tuesday evening, and everybody enjoys it a great deal. And with marketing, there's always so many topics you can talk about, right? And in our work, there's really just a topic, and that is, winning the battle with the mind, right? So a lot of what we're talking about doing is really bringing us back to center. What was it you called it, Nicole? What's the word you use for it?
Yeah. Getting back to center.
Mm-hmm. Getting back to center, yes. And the center is really the present, isn't it?
That's right.
It's that gift from God that when we're in the present, everything is perfect. Nothing is wrong. What's wrong this very moment, Nicole? Anything? Not a thing, right?
Well, maybe my dogs might be a little loud. Well, I apologize.
But that's just life, right?
Yeah.
And what brought this subject to mind to me this week was, as I've mentioned before, I work for Best Buy currently while we're getting everything with the marketing side going, and hopefully I'm going to have some great news about all of that very, very soon, as I've mentioned to you a couple of times, Nicole. In the meantime, I'm still working at Best Buy, and yesterday there was a young lady that came in who is a bit on the overweight side, right? And she went to make a purchase, and her card didn't go through. And she was just apologizing profusely because her card didn't go through. And her mother looked over at her and says, "Honey, it's okay. It's no big deal," right? And you could just see the angst that young girl was feeling. And my heart went out to her, and I said, "Honey, it's all right. Everything's okay, right? Everything's perfect right now. There's not a thing wrong. This is just a minor thing. It's called life, and this too will pass, all right? So be kind to yourself." And she looked at me, she says, "I'll try." And I was, oh, yeah, I know that line, right? I know that feeling. I know the beatings, right? That we talk about that all the time, the beatings that we give ourselves. And why do we do that? It's crazy, right? It's, it's kind of like, I had a drinking problem, right? And I as hard as I would try to keep it on track, I couldn't keep it on track. And there was a really simple solution: quit drinking. Gee, what a shock, right?
Well, and that.
It's kind of the same thing with the beatings, right? It's like we beat ourselves up and we beat ourselves up, and it's like, oh my God. And how in the world can we make anything good in life when all we're doing is beating ourselves up all the time, right? And yet many of us do it, and and it's not an age thing. I'm old now, right? And as you know, Nicole, I started this journey many, many years ago now, right? And so it's not about age, it's about awareness. And hopefully, if you guys keep attending this class here, this free class where you can come and get recentered again and get back on track with where you want to go, as Nicole says, get back to center, your life can start getting easier. And hopefully you'll stop those beatings, because the beatings accomplish absolutely nothing. except for you get really sore, physically, emotionally, and mentally.
Let's say hello to everybody. I see Melly's here and
Yes, and
Kimberlyn.
Kimberlyn's here. Yes, the awesome family members that join us each week. I am so honored by your presence and that you guys are so consistent of joining us on the course. I'm really happy that you do so. And, you guys have all heard this stuff for 100 years, I know, but, and you're still willing to listen to it some more. And I'm really glad for that. It's very special. So that reset, right? That poor girl, and I'm hoping that she walked away feeling better, right? And that's another reminder that when you show up wanting to be of service for others, God sends them to you. It's kind of amazing how it happens. I really look forward to Mondays now. Oh, that's awesome. Yay. Look at that, huh? I really look forward to Mondays. Well, quite frankly, I look forward to every day, because every day I know I'm going to see God's hand in everything, right? Every day I get to, like yesterday, we had a guy that came into the store, and as he's walking through the store with a cart, he's putting items in the cart. He's got like 4 of those dolls, like the one I gave Aurora for Christmas, right? He had like 3 or 4 of those in his cart, and he just had all kinds of stuff in there. And I was busy on my register, so I wasn't paying much attention, but I did see him once going through the aisles, and he finally comes up to the front, and they had one of the managers actually deal with him in the cart. And he's talking about how this is his day to do things for himself, and he's spending $800 just on himself today to get things that he really likes, and he's all into cartoons and all that kind of stuff. And he buys a Coke with his money, and as they're ringing up all of his items, the total comes up to $831 or whatever, and card doesn't go through. Oh, it must be a little bit over. Let's drop a few items off. So he drops a few items off. Card still doesn't get through. They spend about a half an hour with the guy, and he finally just, after spewing about family issues and all kinds of drama in his life, he finally just walks out with the Coke. Now, obviously, there was something not well with the gentleman, right? And it was a reminder to me that can be me or you or anybody if we let our minds get the best of us, right? We can lose focus of what's real, and we get all wrapped up in things that aren't real. And so I took that moment to be grateful. Be grateful for what I have today. Yeah. And so here's a little comment from Melly. I learned just this past week with Richard's finger injury that God is in control, and I just have to go with the flow. I'm not in control anymore, so I take it a day at a time. Well, here's the shocker, Melly. You never were in control. You just thought you were. And that's not just you. That's all of us, right?
That's a great realization, though.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And the more you can get that into your core, the easier your life gets to be, right? We had a gentleman that we knew. His name was I think his name was Rolf, and he owned a storage center in Murrieta. Wonderful gentleman. And his favorite saying was, "Isn't that interesting?" Because for him, it was about not judging good or bad. Just, it's interesting. And when you do that, you lose that thing about something has to be right and something has to be wrong and something has to be good and something has to be bad and all of that kind of stuff. It's the realization that we are just characters in the play. We're not the director. We're not the producer. We're not the financier. We are none of those roles. We are simply a conduit for the play. And the more we can get out of trying to control everything, the more magical the whole thing becomes. and the less anxiety you feel within yourself. And the less anxiety you feel inside yourself, doesn't it make sense that if you're tense inside, you're going to be tense outside as well? All right. So Melly says, it didn't matter how I wanted the outcome to be. I can't make his finger unbroken. That's exactly right. Now we just have to move forward. Exactly. But if you're wrapped up in drama, it can be, oh my God, this is the worst thing that's ever happened. And oh my God, he's going to have to be, right? And we create this crisis when it's a broken finger, right? I mean, yes, I'm sad that he's got a broken finger, and I'm sorry he's got pain and all of those things. But if he's going to be an athlete, this isn't the last time he's going to go through that experience, right? And the best thing we can do is be, this brings us to another great topic. I'm glad you mentioned it, Melinda. I say often that we show our children much more than we tell our children. So we can explain to them this, that, and the other. You can tell them that everything is just fine, nothing to worry about, everything is great. But if they look at your face and you're freaked out, it doesn't ring true, does it? Right?
No.
Yeah. It's like, and it reminds me back to that story about the young, I guess you guys don't remember the father that had the child that was all freaked out over the fireworks, right? And he just held his kid and told him it's all right, it's okay, everything's great, right? And, and as I mentioned, me personally, I was thinking, God, you got to get the kid out of here because it's driving him nuts, right? But the father had more wisdom than I did about that situation. And he realized that what he needed to do was walk his child through it with calmness and peacefulness to where the kid could let go of his fear and enjoy the beauty of the fireworks, right? What a wonderful story that was for me to learn from, right? That everything is okay. Everything, and he's going to show his son that everything's okay. He's not going to buy into his panic and his fear, because all that does is cement it for him. A great lesson. And I know that you, Melinda, you and Luke did it, and Cheryl, you all did a great job of comforting him and yet letting him know that everything was going to be all right. And he's such a warrior. I'm sure he's just going to go through this like a trooper, right? And everything's going to be just fine. And then my understanding is he has the surgery on Thursday, if that's what I was told correctly, and I'm sure I was. And
yeah, and I was told that he played through the broken finger and all, of course.
Yeah. That's what the tough ones do, right? It's like Pat Mahomes playing on a high ankle sprain, right? And after several plays, he'd limp to the sideline and he'd get right back out there and do it again because that's where his focus is. And that's another really great point. I love how these all come about as we get talking, right? But that focus, and when going back to that center, to that moment, here's another pearl from Melinda. I learned as long as I'm fully honest with him throughout the process, he trusts the process. No surprises. That's right. Talk to him like he's an intelligent human being, because he is, right?
Oh, he's so intelligent.
Yes, he is a very bright young man. In fact, you can't pull anything over on him. So why try, right? He's such a handsome young man. He's got such a great heart. I mean, there's just so much to love about him, right? And so anyway, going back to that getting that center again, and how we can lose that center and how it goes away so quickly, right?
Oh.
And I was thinking about today, I was thinking about successful people. And of course, you have to define what success is, right? There are some people who are hugely successful that just, to me, are very ugly people, right? Because of what their values are don't align very well with what my values are. And that's okay. They got a right to live their life the way they want to. I just wouldn't want to use them as an example of what, to me, a successful person is. To me, a successful person is a person who strives to do better within himself every single day, and by the grace of God has been given much success through his hard efforts, but also through that grace of God. Because there's an awful lot of people who have worked really hard throughout their lives that never got that success. So that's why understanding what true success is so important, because if we're chasing after something and we don't even know what it is, how are you going to know when you get it? Right? So, and that brings me to another great saying that I love, which is that if you're not happy with what you have, what makes you think getting more will make any difference? Right? There's a song by a female singer. I don't remember her name at the moment. You guys will probably get it. But one of the lyrics in the song was, "It isn't getting what you want; it's wanting what you've got that makes the difference." Right? And it's so true. If you can be happy with nothing, then when you get a lot, it's like, yeah, I already know how to be happy, right? I say that to Kate all the time. I just want her to be happy. I'm already happy. I don't need anything else to be happy. Do I want more things? Of course, we all have that disease of more, right? But what I really want is to help more people. That's what really makes me happiest, is when I get somebody that gets that light turned on, that maybe they're not the piece of garbage they thought they were. Maybe they really can get what they want in their life, whatever that is, right? The biggest thing is just to quit beating yourself up so much, right? I love reading about people like Edison, who failed you see the commercial, right, where he talks about failing 3,582 times to invent a light bulb, right? But he knows the next time is going to be the one that makes it work, right? And then he finally gets it, right? Or talking about Richard with baseball, the fact that a 300 hitter means that he fails 70% of the time. And yet he's a multimillionaire because he doesn't let that failure destroy him. It's in fact, I heard it on another show tonight, that the failures that this guy experienced was only the process of taking him to the great success. And if you can look at everything that you're going through in your life that way, of not judging it as bad, but judging it as interesting, and to be able to look at it and say, that's interesting. What could I gain from that, right? Rather than, oh, geez, what stupid, what was I thinking? That'll never work. What was I trying to do, right? Oh, that's interesting. I was going through something like that with software, and I'm going to research it even further tonight. I couldn't get one of my software packages to work, and I haven't used it since I hardwired my computer. And yet that same software works on my laptop where I use Wi-Fi. So I'm thinking that there's a problem with the network hookup, whether it's my router or whatever, that's not allowing the signals to go through the software. But I don't give up on it, right? I mean, I'll have days where I'm just looking. I've been dealing with this for over a week now, and the company hasn't been responding back, and I haven't been able to figure it out. And in the old days, that would be a reason to drink or just be so miserable every single day because I couldn't get that thing to work. Nowadays, and again, it's not about age, all right? It has nothing to do with age. You get this either when you're 20 or when you're 80, or you don't get it at all, right? But the reality is, if I let go and let God, He'll bring the answer to me. I think I've mentioned that story before about how when you're trying to remember somebody's name, have you ever had that, where you're trying to think of an actor or an actress's name or even somebody right? And, we've all walked up to somebody and you know them and you know their name, but it's just not there for you at that moment, right? We've all had that. I know we have. That if I can just, instead of trying hard to remember their name, just say, it'll come to me. And within who knows, a minute or two, maybe, the answer comes to you. But if you struggle hard to try to get it, there's that dis-ease, right? Dis-ease in thinking, dis-ease in how to handle life, dis-ease in believing that God will take care of everything that you need. Just let it go, right? And here's another, Mellie's really, really hot tonight. She's got some great information here. I heard an awesome quote. Don't let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game. That's exactly right, right? The fear of anything, and that's the thing about the successful people. And it goes back to what I was getting to, is that those successful people have such tunnel vision of where they're going and such drive to get there that they don't let anything stop them. Anything. They just refuse to be told they can't do it. Most of us, if somebody says you can't do that, you go, yeah, you're right. I can't do it. Because that's the way I've got my mind set up, right? Oh, yeah, well, I'm a failure. And somebody's going to verify that for me and then prove I'm right. Self-fulfilling prophets, right? Yep, I think I'm a loser, so guess what? I'm going to lose. Okay? Set yourself up for failure. And we do it all the time, right? How many times have we been on a diet and said, I'm going to lose 50 pounds and nothing's going to stop me, right? And then that eclair shows up, or that ice cream, right? Or whatever the thing is, that pizza that just looks so good, right? Or whatever it is. And we have it, and then we beat ourselves up for having it. And we'll beat ourselves up for a week. And we'll eat to cover the pain of having failed once again to not succeed, right? And we do that in every single aspect of our lives, whether it's relationships or jobs or, whatever. And we do that, and we don't even see how we're setting ourselves up for failure. Rather than once again going, well, that's interesting. Yep, I ate some food. It's okay. It's a brand new day today. I'm going to start new today, right? I'm going to, don't let the fear keep you from striking out, from playing the game, right? The game of life. How many people all you have to do is walk down the street and you can see people that have quit, right? Everybody that's on this call tonight, whether it's here tonight on Monday, what is today, the 30th, right? Everyone that's here tonight on the 30th is here because they don't want to quit. They want to get where they want to go. They want that happiness that they can have in life. And maybe you've got all the happiness you can stand right now. I don't know. If that's the case, terrific, right? But we all have that disease of war, right? I love being happy. I love laughing. I love making people feel good. It just feeds my soul, right? And I think that's true for most people. Not everybody. There are people I see every day who are absolutely miserable. And they're comfortable in that misery because it's what they've gotten used to, right? And
you talked a little bit about, getting back to center. And one thing I describe is like starting the morning there, right? Early in the day, and that way, if your day gets sideways, you can get back there, right? Like,
yeah.
If I don't have a center to start with, where am I getting back to?
Yeah.
Right.
That's a really good point. Whether you do meditation or you read from a book or what a quiet moment, maybe you sit out on your porch, whatever it is that's a ritual for you to pull you center. Because let's face it, we can even have bad dreams in the middle of the night. So it doesn't mean that you're going to be waking up, in a really nice, calm place, right? Yeah. So you're absolutely right. And that's developing successful habits, isn't it? Taking that little time in the morning to just get centered and listen to God within yourself and and get excited about what the day is going to bring today, and developing that mindset. I get so many people throughout my days that go, gosh, you have such a positive outlook. And I go, well, thank you, but it's really free. It doesn't cost anything, right? And I can either be all wrapped up in what's not right, and God, let me tell you, when you work in retail, there's plenty that ain't right? And it can get to you if you're not really anchored in where you are and what's important to you, right? And so, it's true for all of us. We all go through that. And that's what I think is one of the really important things about our power hour, is that you get a chance to come in and reset, like Nicole said, get back to center and start fresh for the week, so that you can start to gain that momentum and start developing those habits. Habits don't develop overnight. What do they? It takes at least, is it 90 days for a habit to become permanent? I think so. Something like that.
21 days.
21 days.
And
I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, but either way, it's permanent when it's permanent. Maybe it takes you a minute. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But, the most important thing is to continue. Or 21, somebody says. And who is that? Do anybody
21
know?
days.
Huh?
21 days. I was right.
Do we know who the Facebook person is?
Might be Teresa.
Maybe. Oh, really?
I don't know.
Hopefully somebody will identify themselves. It'd be nice. Oh, it's Kimberly.
Well, no, it's the second one. That's the second.
Okay. Yep.
Irene.
Oh, hey.
Yay.
Welcome. Glad you're here.
Welcome.
Yes. So, yes, it's about establishing better habits.
Yeah.
As I've mentioned on here before, I don't know if any of you were trained from very young age to train your mind. If anyone told you about training your mind or suggested that you be more conscious of your thoughts, most of us weren't. And most of us have developed habits of thinking that don't work for us, right? And so it takes time to turn that around to where you really feel good about yourself. Now, you know me, Nicole, better than anybody else, except for maybe Kate, because she spends more time with me. But you know me very, very well. And I think you know that I am a really happy person.
Yes.
Yeah. And that wasn't always that way, right?
Nope.
I used to do what most of us do, and that's fake it until you make it, right? But it doesn't work. I know. I found out the hard way, right? You have to change the way you think. And if you catch yourself beating yourself up, recognize that it's wrong thinking. Because everybody that I know, everybody that God sends my way, are people who are really caring people, who would never, ever say to another human being the things that you'll say to yourself and about yourself. You would never call a friend of yours a loser. You would never say things that are hurtful to somebody you love. Why in the world would you say it to yourself? Right? And yet we've all done it. Right? And, there's nothing wrong with what's the word I'm looking for? Self-discipline. Nothing wrong with that. We have to do that, right? But it has to be in a gentle, kind, loving way. Just as you would do with your child. Now, every once in a while, a child will get on your nerves and you'll just, enough, right? But we try to minimize those moments, right? Same thing with the talks that we give to ourselves. We have to be kind to ourselves. What's that?
Loud airplane.
Is that what it was? Wow. Okay.
Very close, apparently.
It's like I heard a therapist talk about how she's a weight expert doctor, right? And she was talking about how she has 2 children who are both raised exactly the same way, were given exactly the same foods, lived basically the same kind of life. One of them was thin as a stick, and one of them was chunky. So is it environmental? No. It's just the way that God meant them to be. And yet we'll beat ourselves up because we don't have the body image that we think we should have. Right? Rather than God wanted me to be exactly the way I am. Right? Like, I am very barrel chested. And I used to wonder, why in the world did he give me a frame like that? What the heck's the purpose of these big shoulders and this huge chest, right? I don't know. I don't know. It's okay now, right? I don't have to worry about it or wonder about it. It's just the way it is. And I'm going to do everything I can do to live as healthfully and happily as I can. And I'm not going to worry about why God gave me this barrel chest, right? My
Right.
dear
It
friend
does take
Georgie,
actions
because
on
you
your part
carry
as
a big
well.
load, huh?
Oh, I was just saying, it does take actions, on yourself. It
Yes,
just don't, like,
absolutely.
okay,
But
this is what God gave me.
yep, and gentle progress, right?
Right.
Yeah. And not be afraid of, don't let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game of life. So, what success means to you is much more important than what success means to anybody else. Your definition of success. I've told that story about that little plaque that I got when your mom, did the smart thing and kicked me out. And I got that plaque that said, true success is living your life in your own way. Because I had already started on that journey. And, years later, I could look back on the marriage and recognize that it had to go that way, or I would have never been able to go live the kind of life that I wanted to live. Right. And that's the way we look at everything. We judge that success failure kind of thing. Right. And it's not that way. So 21 days to make a habit. Well, what if it's 21 years? Don't give up. Don't quit.
Yeah. If you quit 10 years in, you still have 21 years to go.
You have as much life as you got, right? So that's that center thing, getting back to center. When you're off course, the quicker you can recognize that you're off track, sooner you can get back, right? And that's where whispers come in, because they pull you back. Remember, we talked about the gyroscope, right? That everything comes back to center, back to center, back to center. And that's what we have to constantly practice. The people that create amazing things in their life, don't let the fear of failure stop them. I think I told you about the motivational speaker that said, so how many people here think that successful people have no fear? Bunch of people raised their hand, right? He said, no, of course they do. They just do it anyway.
Yeah.
Right? The heck with it. What's fear? Right? It's just an illusionary feeling. It's not real.
I've heard false evidence appearing real.
Exactly right. Exactly
Yes.
right. And it's where fear will take you to places you don't want to go, right? Fear takes you to overeating. Fear takes you to overdrinking. Fear takes you to hide in a corner and not come out. Fear keeps you from creating the kind of life you want. Fear keeps you from talking to another person and saying, hey, I'm lonely, I need a hug. Or I don't appreciate the way you just talked to me. Can we restructure that in a way that's better for me and for you, right? It's like we'll exchange body fluids with another human being, but we just can't tell them I need a hug. Isn't that weird? The weird things we'll do, right? So And yeah, I know. I come up with all these weird things. Right? Yeah, I know. My poor daughter. But it's true.
My
So,
dad.
yep, that's me. That's me. What I am is what I am. And that's all right with me. 21 days, says Irene. Irene, I'm really glad you're here tonight. Thank you for joining us. That's awesome. Yes. And what else we got here? Anything else? We got anything new? Well, let me put in some banners for people, right? So this is our Facebook group that I still haven't gotten marketing the way I'm intending to, but I will. But if you get some, this is one more place you can put in posts. And remember this, whether it's our show here tonight or another show or the marketing group or anything, your opinions are important. Your experience is important. I shared last week about how a woman came in and bought something and just stood there and suddenly blurted out that she's waiting for her doctor to call and tell her whether she has cancer or not, right? I mean, that's God at work, right? That's God saying, lady, I'm going to send you to somebody that's going to make you feel better about it, all right? And who could do that better than me? I'm sure maybe some other people, but it was this guy, right?
People that walk through that can only
Yeah.
help people that
And we've all walked through things that nobody else has, or that maybe somebody else is walking through and doesn't know how to deal with it, right? That's what being a guide is. We all start out wanting to be a hero. We want to be the leader of our family. We want to be successful in our business. We want to do, community things and whatever. And so then we start to develop confidence and we start to grow and things start to change. And then what we really start to become are guides, right? And that's where the joy really comes in, is where you've learned lessons in your life that have made your life better. And then you get to share those experiences with other people to help make their life better. To just accumulate great wealth and not give back is only half of the blessing that God had for them. He gave them great wealth, not to make them wealthy, but for them to use their experience and their talents to benefit other people. It isn't about, I'm a multi-billionaire, look at me, right? No, I'm a multi-billionaire and I want to help make things better. That ought to be and that to me is true success. Is when you spend more of your day thinking more about other people than you think about yourself, right? And that's the journey of life, is getting out of self. It's interesting, isn't it, that you have to get into self to get out of self? Isn't that a strange dichotomy, right? You have to get inside yourself and see the rust and the dirt and the grime that needs to get cleaned out, and it's for you to polish that vessel that you are to let the God shine through. Right? Yeah. I love that thing that, God is good, right? It's just they left an O out. God is good, right? And so the more good I can do, the more I believe I'm living in the image of God. That I have the consciousness that I believe God would have. Not at that level, of course, not to that expansiveness, but a little bit, right? And I can make a difference by just doing those little things to help his children feel better, even if it's only for a moment, even if it's just to help that girl to not beat herself up for just a few minutes, might make a difference. I had a young man at the store who walked up to me the other day and he said, Dan, today's my last day. So I'm really going to miss you, Omar. You're such a nice young man, and you have such a great way with people, and you're willing to do anything. And I just have enjoyed working with you so much. And he says, well, Dan, and I said, and I hope you remember that very first thing that I said to you when you and I first connected was I gave him a compliment. and he discounted it. And I stopped him. You know how this goes, right?
Yeah,
Heard us a few times, right?
just a few.
And I told him, I said,
Last
look,
week.
most people are so afraid of saying anything to any human being, and they're so focused on themselves that for them to give you a compliment is like a major thing for them, right? And for you to discount that compliment means you're discounting them for the courage that they mustered up to say something nice about another human being. And you're discounting God for giving you that gift that they recognize. And God gave you that gift, and you've decided to take it and throw it in the trash. Right?
Yeah.
He said, well, Dan, I have to tell you that every time I get a compliment now, I think of you. And I think about that moment because it's changed my life. And he started crying. I said, oh, that's really great, right? I said, that's the whole idea, is that when we start accepting compliments instead of discounting them. How many people on our call tonight have discounted a compliment that they've been given in the past? Anybody else? I know I'm one. I used to. Nowadays, I just say, thank you so much. That's so kind of you, right? And that's not shielding off the compliment. You know, it's like somebody says, oh, you've got a beautiful blouse on. You go, yeah, but yours is even more beautiful. That's discounting it. That's what do they call that? There's a word for it. But anyway.
Diverting.
Huh? Diverting. Yes, exactly right. No, you own the compliment, right? Thank you so much. And yes, I like your blouse too. It's beautiful, right? That's not shielding. That's saying, yes, I accept that compliment. And, you know, when I first started coming out of my shell, because God, I was in such a shell. I had so little confidence that I've shared it in here that, you know, as much as I love women, I would be scared to death of sitting next to one for fear that my mere presence was going to offend them. Right? Can you imagine that, Nicole? Me being like that? Right? No. I mean, I have a very healthy love for women. Now I'm comfortable with it, right? But back then I couldn't. It was hard. And to gain the courage to just say, hi, how are you today? Oh my God, it was such a journey to get into that and to live through that fear. Was it that fear of, you know, don't let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game, right? It's like the old saying about, you know, why is it you often see beautiful women with really homely looking guys, right? Because the homely looking guy didn't have anything to lose. So he was willing to walk up and say, hello, what have I got to lose, right? And if we looked at that about everything in life, we'd live a much nicer life, wouldn't we? Where I don't care what's going to happen. I'm gonna live the way I want to live, right? And so I've gotten to have that opportunity quite often this last few weeks of reminding me of what my values are and what's important to me, and that I let something that happened at work keep me from sleeping one night. And I got up the next morning and I just took that time to meditate, right? And to remember that their values aren't my values. And that the way I want to live is the way I want to live. And if I have to make some changes to make that happen, then I will do that, because I love being in a happy place. And I love being in an environment where each individual is treated with dignity and respect. And if I'm not in that environment, I need to change my environment, and I will do that. And was this Irene who said, thanks for having me?
Yes.
Hey, well, you're always welcome. Always. Another one of our family members.
of discounting a compliment. She said, me too.
Oh, me too. That's a compliment.
Yeah.
Yes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, about how many people have discounted a compliment, right?
Yeah.
And all we have to do is say thank you. That's
Yeah.
very kind of you. Wow. I'm so honored, right? I mean, it's amazing the way what you put out comes back.
Yes.
I say it all the time that life is an inside job. How many times have you heard that, Nicole? About 10,000 times? Yeah,
Well,
right.
maybe a few more.
Life is an inside job. How you feel inside is going to be mirrored out here, right? So if you are positive minded, if you're looking for the miracles in life, they're going to show up. They're going to become your reality, right? If you're looking at all the opportunities that are available to you in life, you're going to find a myriad of opportunities, right? Yeah, and so the problem is we are all getting exactly the life that we've asked for. Let me repeat that. We're all living exactly the life that we've asked for. And if you think you're not, you're wrong. You just haven't been clear enough about what you're asking for, right? We all do it, right? We all say, well, my life would be perfect if only this and that and this and that would happen, right? Okay, but why hasn't it? What's missing? If you don't know what's missing, how are you going to change it? So we have to get clear about what it is we really want that we don't have. If something is missing, what is missing? All right. And that's true for all of us. And we all want more than what we've got right now because we all have the disease of more. Right? If we didn't, we'd all be really happy with what we've got and there'd be no challenges in life whatsoever. Life would be a blissful thing. And for the most part, it is, right? But we don't get clear about what it is we want. What's missing in your life right now that you really want? And if you can then put that into picture and you can put it into thought and make it that center of your life, this is what's going to happen to take me to the next step that I want. When you're clear about what you want, again, you change it in here first. Then it shows up out here. So I know it sounds kind of esoteric and a little weird and woo-woo and all of that, but it really and truly works. The man I was talking about that has the marketing thing he does every week, Heart-Centered Marketing, and he's got the YouTube channel that he does every Tuesday at 4:00 Pacific time. And this last week they were talking about thinking and how you have to think right to get a right life, right? And he mentioned something about, the inner outer thing. And then I said, yeah, that's right up my alley. It's where I live. And he says, well, for some of you, this may sound kind of woo-woo, but it really is true. And it really does work. And I commented in the comment section that not all woo-woo is woo-woo. Right? So, that's the whole point. The whole theme of our talk tonight has been getting back to center. It's that we all get out of center, right? We all get moving along, and then all of a sudden something happens, and we're going down First Street. And before we know it, we're on 20th Avenue, and we have no idea how we got there, right? And we have to pull back again. And that's what we do every week here on the Positive Power Hour, is pull us back to that center, right? Get back in the present, get clear focused, clean those glasses, get, the what is that book called? The New Pair of Glasses, right? About, looking through new eyes at what you want in your life and what is important in your life and what gives you that satisfaction and that peace that you're looking for. And you can't do that if you're going down 10th Avenue when you're trying to go down First Street, right? And you can't even go down First Street if you don't know where you're starting from. So we have to get centered. We have to get clear. Where is my thinking off? Because it's not about, well, it is about Nicole, but it's it's not about anybody else. It's about us. The problem isn't the boss. The problem isn't the guy at work or the woman that, just told you that she wouldn't date you for, if you're the last man on earth, or whatever the case might be. It's none of those things. It's you.
Yes.
And if you can quit blaming everybody else and everything else, life gets easier. And before you know it, the things that you've been struggling over start to vanish. And it gets much easier. All right. So my great wish for all of you is that you get centered this week, right? Give yourself permission to enjoy the day. I think I've shared with all of you that every morning I give Kate a hug and a kiss and suggest that she have fun today. And every once in a while I'll say, you must get tired of hearing me say that to you. And she'll say, no, I need to hear it. Right? And that's the purpose of the Positive Power Hour, is that maybe you're sick of hearing me, but most of you are going to come back anyway, because you know you need the juice, right? And I got plenty of juice to give. So let's resolve to focus inside so we can focus outside. I know it sounds weird, but it really does work. I think there's a number of people on our call tonight that know it already, right?
Yes.
Yes, and yeah, Nicole is one of them.
Yep.
Yeah. She went through the hard journey like many of us do. And she got to learn. And, most of us learn through hard knocks, right? We don't take the easy road. And yet, no matter how hard you make the road, no matter how long it takes, we all get to that same point at some point in our life, whether it's this life or another life or whatever it takes. With God's grace and with Him in our focus, we get to experience the joy that comes from the hard road. Because if life was always easy, we wouldn't
be growing. Yeah.
No, right? It's like Richard with his broken finger. It's not a fun thing to go through, but I guarantee he's going to learn some things from it. It's going to be part of his journey that helps him to become the young man that he's becoming, right? And I think about Aurora, about how, here was this little tiny baby who had a problem with her digestive system, right?
Yeah, she was starving to death.
Huh?
Mm-hmm. She was starving to death.
Yeah, she was starving to death. She couldn't keep anything down.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a brother that had that same problem, right? Richard. And she went through and she had surgery. She was in the hospital for weeks, wasn't it?
I can't remember how long it was, but yeah.
Yes. We can't remember anymore because it's gone, right? But to look at her today, she's just the happiest thing, right? And like when you went through your surgery, it was a very challenging thing that you went through, right? Now today, it's like, yeah, it's all fine, right? We get through it. But it's those hard times that we go through that makes such a big difference. So I'm going to close the show tonight with a saying that I heard from a metaphysical rabbi. Met him at Murrieta Hot Springs 100 years ago, 30 years ago, when it was still a spa. And his saying was, bless the pain. Because it's the pain that helps you to grow.
I believe that. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Bless the pain. Right. And the pain helps you grow. And isn't it funny, as we're growing up and our bones start growing and we get the pain of
Growing
the
pains.
growth, right? And it's kind of like the microcosm kind of thing, isn't it? The pain of growth. So remember, when you're feeling tense, when you're feeling anxious, when you're feeling uneasy, it's because you are in intention.
Mm.
You're intending to a growth point. And you're supposed to feel that tension because you're making a change. So just like the rabbi said, bless the pain, bless the tension, bless the uneasiness, and recognize that that's just you going through to the next step. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, get centered, get clear. Remember that you're a vessel of God. You've got that spark of God right inside you, that creative force that can do almost anything. You won't be able to be 7 foot tall and play basketball unless you've got those genes, and that's the way God meant for you to be, right? But you have so much creative energy within you if you'll just let go.
Mm.
In my spiritual path, and I'll finish with this. In my spiritual path, it says that we could all be in heaven this very instant if we could just let go. Think about that. If you could just let go. I love you all. Thank you all for being on the call tonight. And for those of you that watch on recording, if you like, and those of you that are on live, if you like what you hear here, send other people here.
You're here.
And we'll close with our favorite saying, Nicole. If you see somebody without a smile, what should you do?
Give them one of yours.
Why?
They're free.
They're free. Yeah. All right. Love you all. Have a great week. We'll see you next week.
See you
Take
next
care.
week. Have a
Bye,
good one.
everyone. Yay.